Oh, looky. Good evening, and welcome to episode 53 of At the Table. I am your host, Kelly Lincoln, a.k.a. the Roaring Girl, and I'm here to enliven your early Saturday evening. This is netrootsradio.com. And the last few weeks have been like really fascinating and interesting and depressing for me. I deal with depression, so depression is kind of there all the time. Low-level grade fevers and shit like that. However, I survived through it. It's fine. Actually, right now, what's really, really interesting is that I am trying to not listen to myself through my that's a little bit better. The headphones, because right now it's actually they're skull candy, and they're plugged into my ears, and I don't really hear anything through them, but it's like I've got this echo in my head. It's kind of fun. What have I achieved this past week? I mean, last few weeks. Getting better I'm doing the show, so that's a sign that I'm out of my funk, my blue funk. And I know I'm saying a lot, but that's just me. That's just me. Wow, I'm a real big booster on these online courses through places like Udemy and Coursera, Allison. They have a lot of free courses and some cool paid ones. I actually took one that I got a certificate in level 1 intelligence analysis. And, well, I don't think I'll ever become an intelligence analyst. The course was really great because it helped me get more organized as far as my materials go, my research, which, being a highly attention deficit, the concept of me being organized in what I am in my preparations for the show are remarkable. It's a really interesting course because it teaches you how to look at information and discern what's important within it. I'm still working on getting more comfortable and proficient working with live streaming and with an application called OBS, Open Broadcaster software, which is freeware, and you can find that at obsproject.org, and it's Windows, Mac, and Linux compatible. Now, I was having a lot of issues with OBS, primarily in the realm of getting sound to actually go through it, and so I would do like test live streams and record to disk at this, test streams and test recordings to disk, and I couldn't figure out why I had no sound when I was on playback after recording directly to the disc, and then after purchasing a really cool and it's a Mac only app called Loopback, which allows you to make virtual pass-through devices and route audio any way you want. Still having some issues getting the sound together, especially with the live streams. And I also have another application on my laptop called EQ. EQ Mac 2, and that allows you to adjust the audio for small speakers, or if you're listening to rock, or if you just want a flat response that you can dick with it yourself. And I was playing back a record the disc test, and I went over to my sound, my volume control, and just clicked on the output, built-in out. And suddenly I had sound on my recorded disc, so that was solved. There is also, if you're interested in dealing with live streaming and want to work with a piece of software, it has a bit of a learning curve to it. But there is also, up on Udemy, a really cool free course on the basics of setting up this software and tweaking it and getting the proper frame rates and audio and it's just really, really great, and it makes it even more amusing now when I go over into Reddit and look into the OBS subreddit, and there's all these guys with this really high-end, gaming computers, and they're like, and they're streaming at too high a frame rate, so they're getting dropped frames, and it's just, or it's not syncing up right. And that's the other thing this course goes into, is how to sync up your audio with the video, with your stream, and don't look at yourself while you're streaming, because you'll flip out, because you'll see, oh my God, I'm lagging, but you're not. But it's amazing. I posted in this, so I'll try it again at some point, and I'll be the girl going, have you tried doing this, like dropping your frame rate, because you when you're streaming out, it's just hilarious. These gamer guys. But anyway, tonight's flights is so randomly random, and I've already started in on it. And the flight for tonight is, we've got 3 samplings, and of course you're hearing the first flight, which is the randomness of my week. The second, we'll be talking a bit about Roger Stone, what he went through Friday, and Reddit, and and our final shot taste is Jersey iceholes. More on that later. And you're listening to At the Table here on netrootsradio.com. I'm your host, Kelly Lincoln, as I said before. And let's, what else are we going to do? Get up, get up, get up, get up. Yes. Oh, you remember a month ago when Donald Trump said this? I'm
proud, and I'll tell you what, I am proud to shut down the government for border security, Chuck, because the people of this country don't want criminals and people that have lots of problems and drugs pouring into our country. So I will take the mantle. I will be the one to shut it down. I'm not going to blame you for it.
Yeah, right.
Last week, President Trump said he would for a government shutdown.
Well, as we said, as you all heard yesterday, old Donnie Rudcap threw in the towel and surrendered. It's about the only way to describe it. And he got exactly what was offered to him a month ago. He gets nothing. Good day, sir. And he primarily surrendered because he's a creature of the television camera, of cameras. Every film, every movie that shot on one of his properties, part of the agreement for using the location was he had to be in a scene in that film. which is why he's all over the place. Why he, and it's so he has this. Now I'm an actor. I mean, and part of my issue, I have so many, is that I'm not good for anything else but performing. And due to the head injury I suffered 20 years ago, this May, my ability to work on stage is kaput, so I'm focusing on voice and this, that, and the other. But I know that I'm no good for anything else. And I have talent. I am talented. I am talented. I know this for a fact. Trump, on the other hand, he's always wanted to be a performer. I mean, it's very evident when you take a look at all the shit he's done. From, the McDonald's commercial and the cameos in movies when they're shot on his properties, when they were shot on his properties, to the nonsense with with wrestling, Celebrity Apprentice. Pardon me. The camera doesn't love him, but he's in love with the camera, and on some levels he's very, very media savvy, and on some levels he's not. But Nancy Pelosi got him to end the shutdown by doing one simple thing. Denied him speaking on location, and he at the Capitol for the State of the Union. He lives for being on television. And because he was told, no, you can't, not until the shutdown's over. The shutdown is over because he wants to be on television inside the Capitol building with the entire House and the entire government sitting there listening to him ramble and blither and whatever else he's going to do. Just, just whatever he does. So that's that. Moving on. God, it's only been... Wow, I thought I've been talking for longer than I have. This is why I should never look at the clock, at the big old time clock on this thing. I'm not... So that's how his week has gone. And going on more about the end of the shutdown, it's going to be... It's comforting to know that 800,000 Americans will be going back to work. That these Americans, government employees and contractors, are not going to have to go into payday loan debt in order to meet their expenses. There has always been a huge disconnect between the wealthy and the not wealthy, and such as Wilbur Ross not understanding why people just couldn't get a loan if they needed to eat or something. Every time I'm broke, I can just go to a bank. People. That's why I went to The View this past Wednesday. I went to not a taping because it's live. It's broadcast live. And it was an adventure. I started out, I was like on time, got up in the, making that line call, And you get to the ABC studios at 66th and Amsterdam. And like all intelligent people, I did not look at the address, where to go. So I see a line, and I think, that's it. And I'm standing in line for about 5 minutes, and I finally say, is this the line for the View? And they go, no, it's Regis. It's not Regis. He's gone. It's Kelly and Ryan. And it's like, no. And I'm jogging around, and I go into and they go in and see another line, and I go into the building and go, no, that's not the line. It's around the corner there. And I'm jogging away, and my asthma is saying, I'm going to kill it. I am so going to get you when you stop. And I was on time. And it was a lot. Met a couple of lovely gentlemen from Glasgow, and they were adorable. And we chatted in line and everything, and just had a wonderful time. Getting inside, and once we got inside, there's this nice. We got the cafeteria thing, and they had no they had no signage, so you didn't know that one side of the where you got the Starbucks there, where you got your coffee, was for the employees, and the other side was for everybody else. And yes, the employees had priority, but they left everybody else standing in line for 10 minutes. Even when there was nobody in the employee line, they still weren't we'll take the next person coming in for the tapings. It was, oh man, it was, I got my coffee. That's all I had to say. It was a lot of fun. I like going to tapings and live programs, because I like to see how everybody works. See the finish when you're watching it on television. All you see are the hosts, cast, whatever you want to call them. You don't see the work you don't get to see how the cameras operate, the floor manager, director, hair, makeup. I like watching that process, because when you're watching it on television, you don't really see all the work that goes on. And of course, they take their breaks in real time when they're, as even the shows that tape will take their breaks in real time. So that way they can make sure that everything's edited properly, and they run for time. And it was like a little bit of an exciting thing. We're watching people come in and being seated, and some of us noticed that there's this with the exception of one individual, everybody is over 30, I would say. So this woman and her son come in, who's and sitting there on the floor, and just as a pre-tape segment is finished, and Whoopi Goldberg says, it's time, and take time to enjoy the View. He gets up and he's got his phone out and he's live streaming, and he's asking her, you said if Trump got elected, you would leave the country. Why haven't you left the country? And it was okay, he's, and they escorted him and his mother out. And it was planned, because Mommy did nothing to stop him from getting up. So nobody ever saw but and I guess maybe he thought it was going to also be broadcasted live across, so he'd get his little moment, not on Facebook Live or Twitch or YouTube or Periscope, but on national television, with him being escorted out after disrupting and asking, pulling a what's her ass? I want to say Tomi Lahren, but I don't think that's it. But the show was, it was really a lot of fun to watch them, banter back and forth between segments. And it was Sunny. She's pregnant. they were talking about one of the chairs. It's the chair that's right next to Whoopi Goldberg, and there's it's like somehow or other almost every person who sits in that chair ends up getting pregnant, and Meghan McCain is going, "That's why I wasn't sitting in that chair," and Joy Behar is, nobody's like, they're all, joking about that's the chair where you get pregnant in, and seeing Patrick Stewart was the guest that day, and he was there to promote The Boy Who Would Be King. And they talked about he's now a beekeeper. He keeps back in England, and but watching him greet Whoopi Goldberg prior was just wonderful because, as you all know, she played Guinan on Next Generation. So there was a lot of long lost, how you do, affection that you could just see go between them. We haven't kept in touch. We haven't seen each other in a while. It was just really awesome wonderful to watch, and to watch this interaction between segments. And I gotta say, I have been a huge fan of Patrick Stewart since I first saw him in the Royal Shakespeare Company's production of A Midsummer Night's Dream. He played Flute the Bellows Mender. It's also called The White Dream. It was directed by the really amazingly great director Peter Brooks. And Ben Kingsley was there in that production as well. And they both had hair at that time. And this was back in the 1970s. And I've been a huge fan of this man's talent ever since. And he's so good looking as well. He's always been a good looking man. There, I said it. I said it again. And just gotta say, it's just amazing. It's amazing. What else did they discuss? Can't remember what else they talked about. It can be random and stuff. One of the ladies in the audience was very interested in where Whoopi Goldberg found the capri, the knicker-esque capris she was wearing, with a very long shirt dress on it. And it turns out it's an Etsy product, but it was, turning around, lifting, it was just a lot of fun. You got it. If you are in somewhere where you can go to a taping of a live show, or a taping of a show, do it, because it's really a lot of fun. It's the people in the audience you will meet, only briefly for that span of a couple of hours, are great people. One of the women this one person I was sitting next to, the previous day had auditioned for the New York, for the Met. And so that was just amazing, and just like, as I said, the people you get to meet, just wonderful. The warm-up comedian, she was really funny. And so there you have it. So,
Now what, I say, what's the big idea bashing me on the noggin with a rolling pin? Clunk enough people and we'll have a nation of lumpheads.
We already have a nation of lumpheads. Our second... I upgraded to cable. I upgraded my cable. Clearly can't afford to do it, but it actually turned out to be even less expensive than what I was paying for with only Showtime. So I now have home Showtime, HBO, and Cinemax. So now I've got Bill Maher, and kind of felt sorry for him. His guest yesterday was Ann Coulter. And he had to deal with her shrieking. I mean, even with the sound turned off and the closed captions off, I could tell what she was talking about. And she's still on everybody is still on the conspiracy theory shit. So that's all there is to say. That's all there is to say about that. So, oh yeah, baby. What do we got here? Oh yes. Oh yeah. Got all of this good stuff. Gotta say, the only drawback to this one application I have called Audio Hijack is that you can label it, and then you still won't see it on. You might see it. Anyway, as everybody knows, Roger Stone was indicted and arrested yesterday, and it was broadcast. The arrest was broadcasted live by CNN, which has everybody all up in their knickers in a twist. Like, how did they know it was happening? What's with all the guns and everything? Well, considering what turns up in the indictment regarding which I happen to have here. I got the indictment here. It's really fascinating. There's a lot of things here. He basically threatened to, they say he's going to take away his Randy Critico's dog, but I read it more as threatening to kill the dog. Basically saying, basically threatening to kill, people. Whether or not he would actually do it himself or was just trying to psych them out, we don't know. Let me see while I go through this. I have so much paper here. Let's see. Grant knowingly make false statements to the House Intelligence Committee. I never had emails with that. I never had discourse with that person. So yeah, they treated him like a mobster. Oh my God, we've got to make sure he's in a stand your ground state. He's gonna go after people. We've got to make sure, people are sort of flipping out that SWAT was there and everything. They didn't know. I mean, and watching the video of the arrest, Stone was hiding behind his door when he opened it. He was not, out in plain sight, so they didn't know if he had a weapon in his hand or not. And the poor man was devastated. Just so devastated. Mr. Fashion's statement had was taken out in his bathrobe. And then to add the insult to the injury. Where are we here? He was thrown under the bus. By the Nixon Foundation. Now, for those of you that are too young to know this, but when Roger Stone was around 16 years old, he worked for the Nixon re-election campaign. And he was been a dirty trickster since the 1970s. He tried setting up a lot of shit. So the Nixon Foundation tweeted shortly after the arrest was, this morning's widely circulated characterization of Roger Stone as a Nixon campaign aide or advisor is a gross misstatement. Mr. Stone was 16 years old during the Nixon presidential campaign of 1968 and 20 years old during the re-election campaign of 1972. Junior scheduler on the Nixon re-election committee, Mr. Stone was not a campaign aide or advisor. Nowhere in the presidential daily diaries from 1972 to 1974 does the name Roger Stone appear. In other words, that was their version of he just ran for coffee. So Roger Stone, like a lot of us, I'm on Reddit. I love Reddit. There's some great subreddits there. It's not the complete shithole that a lot of people think. There's a lot of shitty subs there, but there's some really amazing subreddits there, which are forums. And my favorites are Ask Historians, Etymology, Accidental. These two are photography subreddits. Accidental Renaissance, Accidental Rockwell, and they're exactly as they sound. And then there are the shithole subreddits, and Roger Stone still has a Reddit presence there, user account. And when I looked at it, it was all posting infowars videos into the war room, and it's propagandizing infowars, via conspiracy theory and the shit into. So he's still fucking with people on that regards. He was it's going to get more and more interesting as the days go on. I mean, I was planning on going through, my version of a deconstruction of the indictment and everything, but seriously, even with my newfound analytical abilities, Rachel Maddow and Randy Rhoads have done a far better, far superior deconstruction of the indictments than I ever could. So if you haven't heard it, I really recommend that you find Randy Rhoads and the Randy Rhoads Show and the Rachel Maddow Show and podcasts, and listen to them. You will not regret it. Going on, swerving off on Rachel Maddow, and going on to the last word. Joy Reid was sitting in for Lawrence O'Donnell, and at one point she's talking about the Republican caucus, and it came out she quickly corrected herself, but it came out Republican, or the Republican carcass, which to me was the perfect Freudian slip for the hellaciously stupid behavior of Mitch McConnell. As I said earlier, my personal opinion is, a lot of people, Trump is a creature of television. He has a need to be on camera. And we all know that the shutdown ended because Trump was told he couldn't be on camera in the best location in Washington, D.C., the Capitol. But I also believe that House GOP going to Mitch McConnell and, tanning his ass, and then them going to Pence and reading him the riot act. And I have a feeling a specific word beginning with I was used in the reading out. It also worked to get the shutdown ended, even though it's going to be just for 3 weeks. And I really, really believe that the Republicans who are up for re-election in 2020 will not let the shutdown happen again. They will completely block it because their asses are now on the line. Completely and totally, they are now so freaking vulnerable that if they let the shutdown happen again and refuse to take action, they're gone. Because even if you're a Trump supporter, you were hurt horribly by the person you voted for. Soybean farmers are gone. I mean, they can't even trust that whatever crop they plant, they will be able to sell. Other nations are buying, their corn from Mexico. What are the Midwest farmers going to plant? What are the conglomerate? What is ConAgra going to plant? It's just gobsmacking, as it were. And you're listening to the At the Table here on netrootsradio.com. I'm just sort of not real sure about anything these days. I'm going to play you something. Let's see. Yeah, I'm going to play you the original lyrics. I'm going to play you the song that was where the melody was swiped for our national anthem.
To Anacreon in heaven, where he sat in full glee, a few sons of harmony sent a petition that he their inspirer and patron would be. When this answer arrived from the jolly old Grecian, voice fearless flew, no longer be mute. I'll lend ye my name, and inspire ye to boot. And besides I'll instruct ye, like me, to entwine the myrtle of Venus with Bacchus's vine. Ye sons of Anacreon, enjoin hand in hand, preserve unanimity, friendship, and love. 'Tis yours to support what so happily planned. Ye've the sanction of gods and the fiat of Jove. While thus we agree, our toast let it be. May our blood flourish happy, united and free. And long may the sons of Anacreon entwine. The myrtle of Venus with Bacchus's vine.
know why that song is impossible to sing solo. It was written for multiple voices. And that was to Anacreon in Heaven, performed by the amazing Oak, Ash, and Thorn. And I've always thought it appropriate that our national anthem is indeed a drinking song. Always. Always. Fun fact about the national anthem. It was initially only played on military bases. And I think it was during World War I. It was played as part of the 7th inning stretch. And there was a member of the, I believe it was Navy, in the stands, or playing ball actually, and when the Star Spangled Banner started playing, he stood up, because that is what they did on the bases. You stood at attention, and and that's why everybody now stands for the national anthem. Ta-da! A little bit of historical trivia. Oh, and what can I do? What can I say, ladies and gentlemen? I'm just a rambling wreck. I think I've gone through most of the this tasting flight today. Oh yeah. You know that spinning ice disc up in Maine? Well, some New Jersey jackhole, ice hole. There's a couple of articles here. One's from Gizmodo, and here it is. And I mean, it was a big story. I mean, it was New York Post. Gizmodo. This was the Gizmodo reportage. Man attempts to carve peace sign into Maine's colossal ice disc with chainsaw. We have evidently reached the vandalism stage of the public's fascination with Maine's 300-foot wide ice disc. The massive ice structure, presently drawing curious onlookers to its location in the Presumpscot River in the Westbrook suburb of Portland, apparently piqued the interest of one New Jersey man on a mission. The CBS affiliate WGME reported that Christopher Angulo on Thursday attempted to carve a massive peace sign into the face of the circular ice formation. Apparently he used a chainsaw and a pickaxe to cut chunks out of it, and told some reporters he wanted to carve a peace sign. Video of this is something. I don't think he cracked it. The chunky cut looked out to be about 8 inches thick or so. While the disc previously spun radars, it's since stopped due to ice buildup around the banks. Now, the ice hole who did this, he was a biologist, but not with a university or anything. Set up underwater cameras and said he planned to take samples and study the counterclockwise rotating chunk of ice. He fell into the water, getting drenched to his waist, and he got out for, No, he did. Well, he vandalized it. He didn't do anything illegal, but the disc is no longer spinning, and it's Angulo also he's a jackhole. He, after Superstorm Hurricane Sandy, I'm looking at this thing here. He climbed he did some other stupid-ass stunts. He was arrested for staging, for climbing climbing to the top of a damaged roller coaster in Jersey and flew an American flag after Superstorm Sandy. You know, he probably, you know, if the thing had collapsed and he survived it, he would have sued them for, like, hey, you should have kept me off of it. So far, he has not won any Darwin Awards, but that could end soon. And I heard this one on Friday night, night's episode of the Colbert. I still want to call it the Colbert Report, the Late Show with Stephen Colbert, where Trump apparently tried to bribe NASA with all the money you could ever need if they could land on Mars while he was still president. They're saying now 2030. Goes, can we do this by 2020? You know, Sims reported that he was getting antsy in the room because of Trump's abrupt question shortly before a televised phone call with the space station. When did this take place? I printed this. Okay, I don't have a date on this. Damn. Oh, this was 2017 April 2017. NASA officials were believed to have gone to great lengths to coordinate with the space station, with timing considered particularly important. All I could think of was that we had to be on camera in 3 minutes, and yet we're in here casually chatting about shaving a full decade off NASA's timetable for sending manned flight to Mars, Sims reportedly wrote, and seemingly out of nowhere. Trump then reportedly asked Lightfoot, but what if I gave you all the money you could ever need to do it? What if we sent NASA's budget through the roof but focused entirely on that instead of whatever else you're doing now? Could it work then? Trump reportedly asked. Lightfoot reiterated the logistical hurdles to Trump, who appeared to be visibly disappointed, the magazine said, citing Sims. The seconds to spare, the report said, Trump went into a bathroom to check his appearance, looked in the mirror and said, Space Station, this is your president. Trump went on to ask the astronaut Peggy Whitson, who was aboard the International Space Station, about Mars. What do you see at timing for actually sending humans to Mars? Trump asked Whitson during the call. After Whitson pointed out the technological and legislative challenges such an effort would entail, Trump appeared to joke that he wanted to complete the space mission in my first term or at worst in my second term. So I think we'll have to speed that up a little bit, Trump said. 1 month before the phone call, Trump signed a $19.5 billion bill to found NASA. The authorization bill required NASA to commit to exploring Mars and was reportedly the first of its kind in 7 years. Ugh. So, wonder why he is so, Oh, I know, because, I would love to go to Mars. I think it'd be fucking awesome. But, who knows? Maybe he's thinking, he could do something similar to John F. Kennedy's pledge to get a man to the moon by the end of the 1960s. But he said that and it was done. I personally think we should go back. We should go back and land more humans on the moon. Clean up the spacecraft we left there. Before we start leaving crap all over Mars. I've always wanted to be an astronaut. But when I was growing up, girls couldn't be astronauts. Hell, we couldn't even be fighter pilots. Or submarine captains, or even on a fucking submarine. Or a battle cruise ship. Shoulda, woulda, couldas. And, in that regard, maybe all the folks that lied to Congress shouldn't have, because the House Intelligence Committee is going to release all the Russian probe transcripts because of all the lying. House Intelligence Committee will release all transcripts of interviews in its probe of Russian election interference to the special counsel's office, its Democratic chairman said on Friday, after Roger Stone, a longtime ally of President Donald Trump, was charged with lying to Congress. This is now the second witness who has been indicted or pled guilty to making false statements in testimony before our committee. Representative Adam Schiff said in a statement, the first order of business for the committee will be to release all remaining transcripts to the special counsel's office, and we will continue to follow the facts wherever they lead. The chairman said they understood Cohen's security concerns, but added in a statement, this will not stop us from getting to the truth. We expect Mr. Cohen to appear before both committees, and we remain engaged with his counsel about his upcoming appearance. And this is to remind you that Michael Cohen is saying he wants to postpone his February 7th appearance, citing threats against his family from Donald Trump. And so they're saying, okay, fine, we'll still do this. So the an interesting test case has come up. There's nothing in the law that says, or in the Constitution, that a president can or cannot be indicted for, well, sitting as president. But actually he can be, and that's called impeachment. And I am in full agreement with those that say the House shouldn't wait. They should begin investigating and looking into impeachment proceedings. Because Wimp is openly threatening people. And sadly, there are people who like the fact he's threatening people. He enjoys. They think it's great. They want a king. They want a dictator. They want a tyrant. They want somebody to make all the decisions for them. And who believes as they do. Who, grabbing some tea, even though it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. Yeah, 2 a.m. is when I'm recording this, folks. And, a little too strong. Very good tea. And I am so stressed out and nerve-frayed. My last nerves is that I just launch off at everybody. A lot of displaced anger. And I thought I had a nice catharsis the other day just by raging about bullshit. Because it's easier than, I was in my room shrieking and screaming, and my neighbors ignored it, as they tend to ignore everything but the sounds of, somebody getting hit. And I would need to play you guys another song. But what to play you? What to play you? That's not it. What do you guys want to hear? Just one more thing before we... Talking to myself on my own radio. Miss Universe Radio. I'll play a little, I haven't played you guys from, here. That's what I'm gonna play you guys. This is Becky Yates, and I'm gonna fight.
us nowhere. The constant bickering that means nothing at all. It means nothing at all. I'm gonna fight till the day that I die. I'm gonna fight till I make you mine. I'm gonna fight no matter the time. I'm gonna fight, yeah. I'm gonna fight, yeah. I'm gonna fight till the day that I die. I'm gonna fight till I make you mine. I'm gonna fight, yeah. No matter the time. I'm gonna fight, yeah. I'm gonna fight. I can sit and say I'm perfect 'cause I'm far from that, but I promise I will fight hard for you back. I won't sleep until you're near me, and that's a fact. Oh no, this hurts. It's always been the good things that I make a mess of. Feel like I've been punished from the sky above, but babe, I'm going nowhere till we fight for this love. Oh no, this hurts. Arguing, it doesn't get us nowhere. It doesn't get us nowhere. The constant bickering, it means nothing. It means nothing. Arguing, it doesn't get us nowhere. It doesn't get us nowhere. The constant bickering, that means nothing at all. It means nothing at all. I'm gonna fight till the day that I die. I'm gonna fight till I make you mine. I'm gonna fight, yeah. No matter the time. I'm gonna fight, yeah. I'm gonna fight, yeah. I'm gonna fight till the day that I die. I'm gonna fight till I make you mine. I'm gonna fight, yeah. No matter the time. I'm gonna fight, yeah. I'm gonna fight, So if you're listening to the story and yours is the same, go and get who you're thinking of, forget who's to blame. If they decide to forgive you, put your head in the game. Get down on one knee and give you your lesson. I'm gonna fight till the day I die. Till I make you mine. No matter the time, I'm gonna fight, yeah. I'm gonna fight, I'm gonna fight till the day I die. Till I make you mine.
And now stay tuned for Katie Speaks with Katie Klabusish here on netrootsradio.com.